Hello again, my name is Gabe Zolna. Just read a rather disturbing article. I'll attach the link. I'll give you pretty much all the highlights. This was put up by Jim W. Dean, and he manages the VT Veterans Today Journal for the Clandestine Community. Title: Major Shifts in Trump Policies Happening Behind the Scenes. Well, I don't know how much behind the scenes. A lot of those shifts seem to be pretty obvious. Editor's note: as Trump continues to sneak out for golf on weekends to clear his head versus getting the desperately needed background briefings he needs, the country has to sweat out what seems to be a weekly roulette wheel determination on what the U.S. policies are for at least the next week. Here's a guy that flies every weekend to Mar-a-Lago. Totally insane. Trump's initial public cover for his silliness was his claim of always wanting to keep his opponents guessing about what was really going to do. But what Mr. Reality TV did not realize is that obviously included him. Gordon and I spotted right away when the initial shift was made for decision-making authority being passed down the line. It's exactly what I spoke about as well. When he passed down decision-making authority to the military, which wasn't really his military. Barack Hussein Obama purged the military. This would be lighten the brain demand loads on the president and allow for a few more rounds of golf, and he would then have a scapegoat to blame and fire for when there were screw-ups. You mean like the bombing of the Syrian cities? The big flashing neon billboard for this was his passing foreign U.S. troop deployments, which included the firepower that goes with them, over to the Pentagon to decide. This broke a tradition of modern presidents keeping a tight rein on mission creep via expanding U.S. boots on the ground in these foreign regime change wars. There was even a stronger case for the former president's oversight system now, when it has been proven that using cannon fodder, proxy troops, including proxy terrorists, is a much more effective way to wage war, because it is not only cheaper, but no one back here at home cares about the casualties that way. The flip side to Trump's new emerging style was President Carter. He was known for taking piles of briefing presentations to study in the evenings. One step up from this was taking them to Camp David for the weekend, while inviting his top command people in to be grilled one by one on the strategies being formulated and executed. All of this is beyond Trump's imagination, where he is using his weekends for things like figuring out how he can set his family and his business up to milk his being president without being caught at it. Here's a real interesting paragraph. Am I the only one thinking that he plans to do everything that he can to groom his daughter to be the first female president someday? This administration is becoming, in its own unique way, an American soap opera, where those at the top are still actors, but the consequences that have to be suffered by real people, both at home and overseas, are quite real. Folks, I'm going to get a lot of nasty comments. Hey, Gabe, you've turned. You were supportive. We had no choice. There was no one else. They never give us an option. Take a look at the lineup that we had. Clowns. Absolute clowns. That's what they were. You can't point to one real, worthwhile, viable presidential candidate that ran against Trump. There wasn't one. Chris Christie, he was viable. He had Bridgegate swirling all around him. Marco Rubio was viable when he was one of the Gang of Eight. The Texas senator, the Canuck. Folks, they never give us an option. And what Trump is doing, he's delegating responsibility, taking it off of his shoulders, so he can blame someone else when there's screw-ups. I didn't know. I didn't know they were going to do that. I had no idea. That's what happens. First, we put in a community organizer who was totally out to lunch. And then we put in what we now have. They never give us a choice. I'll attach the link. You let me know what you think. You sure as heck know what I think, don't you?